It's so
The
effective.
idea is to save time for us. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday night segment of The Outer Realm. We are broadcasting live here on the International Public Radio and the United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM and 105.3 FM from the beautiful city of New Orleans. This evening's segment is partially sponsored by the good folks over at Folgers Coffee. Thank you, Folgers. You know we love you. Tonight, we welcome back our dear friend and show producer, Joe Montaldo. And Joe is the owner and director of ICAR, which stands for the International Community for Alien Research. And he will be discussing the signs of alien abductions. How do you know you've been abducted? How can you avoid it? Can you avoid it? What is it about you that they want? So it's definitely going to be awesome. But in order to participate in tonight's show, you're going to have to head over to the either International Public Radio or UFO Paranormal Radio Network YouTube pages, and of course, subscribe. But no, we will be airing simultaneously on Twitch and multiple Facebook UPRN pages. So please feel free to join the chat rooms anywhere. And if you want to join us personally, you'll have to go into the YouTube chat. So it's going to be a great segment. Settle yourselves in and take notes. That's what I say. Take
Me
notes.
too.
I know.
Me too.
I know.
Taking notes. My goodness.
I've been researching this stuff for a freaking long time because there's just been so much to know. And I decided to make a checklist, and it's amazing how many things that I have on this checklist that not only I've recognized for myself, but for family members, friends, including certain little bubbles. And, and yours truly upstairs. And it's true. I actually have been finding all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's really cool and interesting. Just saying. Yeah. So, kind of makes you wonder, though, like, is it a lineage thing? Yes, I definitely believe it is, but little things that I remember hearing all the time, either growing up or even like of late, because I'm more aware. It's like, holy crap, I remember all of that.
Oh, yeah.
And then talking to like my mom, she's like, oh yeah, I remember things like that too. I'm just like, really? Holy shit. So it's just things like that, it's just like, okay, I guess I better go and just like totally accept this. So yeah, it's definitely been, it's been a journey, and you can never know enough. And I find it really interesting when I am looking at some of this stuff and thinking, wow, okay, you know what? You can't know enough. And I'm always forever like picking people's brains who've had experiences, so just because it's not just abductions, it's experiencers. And, I know, and then
I just have a little bit of a problem with it. I was, anyways. But I'm open. I'm listening. I'm learning. I am frightened. I think a lot of people are, and it's good because you get the information out there, and maybe we can get rid of that fear. We'll see what happens.
It was a little unnerving at first, but mostly because it's just like having like a creepy lurker that has access to your bedroom at night. It's like, okay, that's so not fun. I don't like to think that they have that kind of access to people so easily. But I've become really relaxed with it, like even beyond now, like even you hear them scampering around, and they do, to the point where I've even modified the rooms and stuff to make it more comfortable, so I don't know. Happy Gray, happy Michelle. It works out really good.
Not so happy Bubbles, but
happy Bubbles, I know.
Not so happy Bubbles when Grays are with Michelle. Yeah.
No, but like when you start going over things, you're going to kind of sit there and go, okay, wait, this explains things like insomnia. Thank you.
I'm going with menopause, I think.
I went through that insomnia thing. It happens every now and then. I went through a bout of it for like a couple of years, and I would always hear things over the house going, It's 3 a.m. What could possibly be over the house? Oh, wait. Yeah.
Huh?
Hey,
Hi,
Linda.
Linda. Hi,
Hey,
Wayne.
Winnie. Yeah, so I'm just thinking, okay, there'd be something over the house at 3 a.m. just sounding like a big Lancaster coming in. So it's like, no.
Oh, good Lord.
So, you just have to think back to things like that. And growing up, I mean, we lived in a valley by a lake. It was just beautiful. And so when things came in, though, it echoed and you knew when something was there.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
military helicopters the next morning, boom, 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 boom. The house is just shaking because it
Yeah.
amplifies. And there's 3 of these big helicopters. You're like, okay, shit went down last night. I know it.
That
you
is
know,
just I get chills all the way down my spine with that. I think it's just me not being able to be in control. I think that's what it could be.
You are
I
definitely not in control of that situation.
no, not at all. And like, I mean, I don't even drink much. I'm not gonna say I don't because I do have wine and stuff like that, but
You'd have to drink a hell of a lot to totally, like I don't think, no, I
no,
don't get drunk, so it's just sort of
no, I don't because
no, no,
I need to be in control. And you're the
mm,
same way. We have to be in control of our
all
surroundings
the
because
time.
we don't know what's coming at us and we don't need our guard down because of the work that we do. So I think the thought of having
This is just
been
bonus stuff.
abducted or yeah, but if having been abducted, even the thought of it or contacted
hmm
really makes me poop my pants because
I
there's no control.
I get it. I
Like
get
poop
it.
sleep.
But you poopy
Poop.
bubbles. But
It's
you
just poop.
just you get to the point where it's just, I don't know. For me, I'm glad that I've got to that point because I've completely calmed down with it. I hear things scamper around and I just talk to them. I'm thinking, am I losing my freaking mind? But no, definitely here, and that's okay. You
Oh
know,
my God. I hear a voice
yeah.
and all you hear me say loudly is out now. That's all you hear from me. Out now.
Used to be, but I now I know, you get to know what they feel like, what their energy feels like, and it's a little bit different because you realize you're not under like a total oppression or infestation. It's just
Um,
something entirely different, and I just find that they're pretty informative, if anything. I mean, I'll be sitting here researching, and I'll hear things behind me. I even hear that little piano key every now and then. It's like, okay, whatever. And I find myself being just taken in different directions. And it's just like, oh, this is really interesting. But now it's at a point where I could just say, okay, I want to know about this. And bam, there it is. Like that's all kinds of stuff. I don't even really have to get pulled around as much as I used to anymore. Like it's pretty easy,
I'm
actually.
like, you can tell I'm nervous because I fidget. Normally, I'm very fidgety, but I'm even more fidgety when I'm nervous. We can't hear you, but that's
Can't
okay.
hear
You just
you, oh fearless one.
keep talking to the imaginary chat room.
Our grand poobah has no voice.
No, I was talking just fine. I just wouldn't actually say anything.
All the
Yeah,
your
I
network.
was like,
There we go. There we go.
We're happy to have you,
I was
because
just,
I need
I was
nightmares
thinking
tonight.
maybe nightmares are an interesting thing. I might have had some nightmares this week when we were out and about in Gulf Breeze, Florida. Actually, it was
Oh.
a very, very strange day. It was we were actually out property shopping. We're ET shopping. See, you got to watch Florida. Florida's like
Hi,
that. Maybe down
Zachman.
there.
Yeah.
Last time I go down to Florida, I go to vacation, right? I mean, last time a major thing happened. I'm going to spend 12, maybe 14 days in Florida, touring the Panhandle. I'm like 20 something. I'm not even going to say I was just 20 something, and we'll leave it at that. And so I said, that's what we're going to do. 11 days missing. So Florida's just like
11
that.
days.
11 days. Yeah, we hardly ever talk about it too. It's weird. We do every once in a while. And somebody asked me
I
the
don't
other day to do a
do
TV
Florida
special.
well.
Florida's
Yeah.
great.
Yes.
I've
Florida's
been to Orlando.
beautiful.
I would like to go
Orlando's
to
not Florida. Orlando
no,
is.
well, when you have a kid, you have to go to Disney, right? My daughter actually
Yeah,
competed in dance at Disney World, at Disney
Disney got
World,
a lot of
right?
cool
World,
stuff.
Land,
Yeah,
World.
Disney World.
Yes,
That's Disney World. Lands in Cali. That's
in
the little
Cali.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And it wasn't, I mean, we did it for her, right? But I would like to go to Miami. That is, that's a place I'd love to go. That is very much
I'd
up
like to
my
go
alley.
wherever you weren't when you went missing for 11 days. How about
Yeah,
that?
That's the
no.
panhandle of Florida. That actually, technically, it was called Opal Beach, Florida. It's in Gulf
Opal
Breeze.
Beach, note to self, do not go to Opal Beach.
Well, it doesn't
It
exist
should be
anymore. The
called
hurricane.
Portal Beach, but anyways.
No, the hurricanes wiped it out. It doesn't exist. The hotel we stayed in,
Oh.
everything's gone. For
Wow.
me,
Oh,
this is a
wow.
weird thing. So, a lot of stuff that happened to us, say from like 40 and under, is all wiped out now. Places I lived, every place I lived on the coast except for here has been completely demolished. It doesn't exist anymore. Matter of
Wow.
fact, a good chunk of my life was just kind of been washed out into the Gulf of Mexico. It's a strange thing when you start moving around and seeing stuff and realize that you used to live here, or work here, or play here, and it doesn't exist.
And there's nothing there.
Nothing but land, grass, or trees. That's about it.
Wow.
Some sand sometimes.
That's sad.
That's creepy.
It's a weird thing. It's not just here. It's New Orleans too. It's a strange. Just a strange feeling in general.
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't.
Miami is the bomb. Little Havana is my favorite. See, that would be me back then. I'd be so into the Miami lifestyle, the music, the clubs, the restaurants, the beach.
There are a lot of good
That's
clubs
me.
down there.
Yeah,
COVID
that would
these
be
days.
me.
It's the COVID hangout these days, but
Yeah.
there are a lot of good clubs
But-
there. But really,
Miami's
truly,
got so much culture. Like they really do. They really brought it from Cuba, They just and Puerto Rico and the Latin
that's not
community
as
is
much
beautiful.
that's more the outskirts of Miami. Miami itself is jet setters, really wealthy people from Boca
Mhm.
Raton and places like that. You'll get
The
to mix
houses on the
along.
water are
You'll get,
stunning.
yeah, you'll get the mix along the beach where all the condos and are, but the
Yeah.
condos behind you are $800,000 a piece, and that's for the shitty ones.
Yeah.
No more than that here in Canada.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I said. That's for the shitty ones.
No, they're really, really tiny. Miami, the
Have you
hot
been to
spot in the
Toronto?
prime.
Have you been to Toronto?
Well,
Miami's
it's weird.
more. Miami's above that. Miami's above
Yeah,
that. You're talking
yeah,
about
when you-
$20 and
when you-
$30 million
oh,
properties,
yeah.
small
Yeah,
houses.
Oh,
to be on the
you
water.
when you want people,
well aware, but price wise, not far off from here.
they well, no, most
Yeah,
places,
from the
most,
city, no. Yeah,
most,
you're right
most
about
places
that.
are going to always have their areas that are going to always be high.
Yeah, but Miami's got like summer all year long. Like there's so many advantages
Yeah,
to
they
being
do,
there.
babe.
You get to Bahamas in an hour. There's a lot of
one. There's
advantages.
several disadvantages. One, Hurricane Andrew just cut a swath across the whole state, wiping
Yeah.
everything off. Just Dade County was completely wiped off the face of the map, all the way to the other side. Then it came to Louisiana. Katrina did some damage. More than that, though, you do have to deal with all the immigrants, and some of them are great. A lot of them are thieving, no good SOBs that are always after your money, your wallet, whatever else they get their little sticky fingers on.
Okay, the opinions of the
Unfortunately-
guest, the owner, the network,
No,
the
this ain't
proprietor is
opinion.
not
You
those
don't-
of this
no.
post.
This is not an opinion. This is a fact. You can go look it up for yourself. Miami's
Yeah.
a dangerous city. It's got a lot of thieving going on. You got a very large poor population that lives in the surrounding outskirts, and they feed off the rich population through many ways, through dealing drugs, through selling sex, through stealing. That's Miami.
Yeah.
That's the real Miami. Now,
And that's worse than New Orleans.
yes, actually it is. And New Orleans is
Okay.
different though, because New Orleans has a different kind of underside that's probably worse than anything in the damn country. But it's a whole different thing. It's a whole different level. It's more of a darker, more evil kind of thing than Miami is. Just Sin
Hiding
City. In the fact that
lichens.
it's Miami, New Orleans, and Nevada and Las Vegas all have something in common. They're 24-hour cities, and that they like, even though they're not supposed to be. Miami and Nevada actually aren't supposed to be 24-hour cities. They're supposed to close at 2 a.m., but they don't.
How are those two cities for UFO sightings?
They're all big cities. Here's what people don't realize about UFO sightings. The majority of UFO sightings happen in big cities because that's where the majority of people live. And since they're taking people, that's where they're taking them from. People, well, how come they only take people out in the country in a trailer? They don't really. When you sit down and look at the stats, oh no. And it's weird because cities in Canada, just like in the United States, some of the big cities are very Ontario, good chunk of abductions happen up there.
There's lots of abductions in Ontario.
BC is the same way. There's a lot out there. Any big city or any big province, Toronto, all of them are going to have massive amount of abductions because there's a massive amount of people there. New York City, number three highest abductions in our country, not number one. I was surprised because it's probably the densest populated city in the U.S. with 8 million strong, but it's not.
Apparently, like Erie area we'll cover that on Saturday with a whole lot of stuff, but it's supposed to be one of the most, I guess, the most, sightings of UFO activity they're saying on the planet.
Well, it's,
Like, what? That's too close for freaking comfort.
well, no, that's the thing. Sorry about that. That's a weird. There's a lot of weird sightings, a lot of hot spots all around the world. But the problem is like y'all's news and our news, a lot of times just ignore them. So even though they get a lot, if you call your local police department and ask them how many UFO sightings they get a year, you'll be shocked on how many they actually get.
Well, I don't think they answer that question here.
And then the Air Force will do the same thing. If you call a military, you'll ask them a lot of times. They'll say, "Oh yeah, we got quite a few." They won't give you a number. They'll say we got quite a few. Sometimes they'll actually give you a number, but the thing about it is you know what's going on, but the media for some reason foo-foos it. They don't want to talk about it, and if they do talk about it, it's going to be it's a little green. They're not going to talk about it in any real consequence. There's been a couple people that have tried over here. I know Larry King gave it a shot with Stanton Friedman a couple of because he brought in some serious names and with some weight to their names, but it didn't do any good. Because the real problem for ufology is always going to be, for every great ufologist, there's 75 morons out there saying the stupidest shit you've ever heard of in your entire life. And you can't get past that because they use that against you. I can go present one of the best, clearest cases for ufology anywhere in the world. I could win a court suit with it, no problem at all. But the problem is, when I go to convincing the public, they're going to use all the other stuff against me. Well, they're going to go find some clown in some little roller derby suit that's been abducted by aliens. They're going to find, and just unfortunately, a lot of this. You can't get around it. And then there's a lot of misabductions, people who have been abused that for some reason decided alien abduction is a better thing than being abused by whoever they were abused by. So you get those mixes as well. It's just all stuff that makes it hard to get the truth out, because the non-truthers, or the people who just already know the truth but don't want anybody else to know, they do everything they can to make sure you look like an ass. They got a big group coming out at the end of this month. I'm going to have Gary Hasling on my show to talk about it. And I'm not going to get any details, but they're forming a new group of ufologists out there to try to really get some serious evidence going on and get out there. It doesn't matter. And I'm all for it, but I'll say now, before the group's even formed, it's not going to make any difference. Because one, they don't have any money. Unfortunately, money talks and everything else walks. And they don't really have any real power. And they're not willing to give the government something for the truth. Our government, I can tell you now, old hot pants up there is not going to go disclose to the world that his citizens are being abducted while it's on his watch, because he knows what's coming next.
I think a lot of disclosures happened before he even got on the throne, so to speak.
Yeah, well, there's always going to be.
We came in, right, like not too far behind Russia for that stuff. Russia was one of the first to disclose.
But think about it. But think about what you just said. You just made my point for me. Okay. Think about it.
Okay.
Okay. Russia made a big disclosure. So did the UK. Nick Pope came out.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all's prime minister, not your prime minister, your defense minister came out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now tell me what difference it made.
Well, he was retired 20 years. It didn't matter. He was
in the
70s when he came out.
Putin came out and said UFOs exist. What difference did it make? We've had two presidents.
Got amazing stuff.
We've had two presidents come out and say UFOs exist. It's not going to make any difference. There's nothing we can actually do short of ET showing up en masse, which will just scare the shit out of everybody, because, whoa, it's Independence Day. Big UFOs start showing up over cities, we're going to get a little paranoid as a society. So you can't really do it that way.
You think? You don't think like we're ready for?
We're not even close to ready. I wish we were ready. When I was young and naive and stupid, and sorry, young people, I'm not hating on y'all, but it's true. You think you know everything when you're 20, and you really don't know anything. But regardless, when I thought everything, I was like, oh yeah, we're ready. But as a grown man who's traveled the world and talks to a lot of people around the world, we ain't nowhere freaking near ready. Even my own country, which is supposed to be an enlightened area, is nowhere near ready for the truth. 50% of America would lose its flipping mind. 75 of them would instantly become God-fearing overnight. Please don't let that. No, it would be embarrassing. And it'd be worse in Europe because of the way the religion's steeped in a society. And places like China, Russia, India, Africa, Brazil, South America would be a freaking nightmare.
You
All
think
these
so?
people would flip. Yeah, there's not.
It's because of all the fear mongering that
And
the
don't and
media
don't
But
and,
they're
and if
government,
history shows.
religion.
and if the media would actually step up and do the right thing, but they won't. They will use this to get ratings, and they will use it whatever they can. I mean, come on. We've watched them use presidents and politicians to fear mong. What do you think when an alien shows up? Oh my God, they'll beat the crap out of us with it. Their ratings will go through the roof because people will be looking and they'll be trying to think of every scary thing they can tell you, which is a bad thing because if they're here for peace and somebody in America or any country loses and starts shooting them, well, it could be a nasty little ordeal. So we're just as a society we're just not there.
That's right.
We're not even ready to give up religion yet.
That's
And it
right.
doesn't
His
matter if
people
you.
carry guns.
Yes,
Sorry.
all people carry guns on this planet. Your people carry guns too. I know a lot of Canadians that own guns, and big ones for that matter too. I know a lot of UK people that own guns. Matter of fact, I know somebody in every country in the world except for maybe China that owns guns. This is a gun-toting world. Yes, America got 400 million of them, but there are currently more guns on Earth than there are physical people. And you want to be an alien and come visit here? Why?
I don't think they would until we
just
enlighten.
just between
But they are
just
visiting.
visiting is not the right word. Visiting suggests you're coming here for pleasure, for fun, or to soak up the culture. That's not what they're doing.
So you mean inhabiting?
Sort of mini invasion, maybe. Let me put it this way: we've already lost the war. Okay, we're now as a society we're terrorists basically because that's the only shot we have. We can't take them on head on because their technology is too far beyond ours. And it wouldn't matter anyway. They'd just wipe us out.
You'd have to go to guerrilla warfare tactics, basically.
Yes, we would. And all they would do is release super COVID, and 7 billion of us would be dead overnight. And the people who they made immune from the get-go would survive. So for us, the only hope the humans really have in this is that for some reason they take pity on our asses, which they seem to sort of have done, and that at least part of our society will be saved. The rest of it, I got to be honest, from what I get from, especially from the Holocaust dream and from a lot of contactees, I would honestly say when this planet reaches about 10 billion, about 3 billion are going to make it. The rest are going to be in less than 7 days too. So it's somebody said, well, that's doomsday. I said, no, it's technically it's the Bible because they're taking these people and these people are being brought to somewhere else and they're being enlightened and lifted away from Earth or being lifted
the
on
rapture
Earth.
is really an alien abduction.
So I mean,
is that what you're saying?
well, no, I'm just saying it's just the way it's written because people get confused about this.
Mhm.
When you look at the Bible, everything that's in the Bible is actually written before the Bible. There's nothing original in the Bible. So it's a hard thing, and I know people get mad at me when I say, but it's a true thing. People don't forget. I used to teach Sunday school, so don't try to BS me. I know the Bible really well, and I know more than just a King James version of the freaking Bible. So the thing of it for me is, it seems like that someone knew something was coming. Maybe someone was privy to these Holocaust dreams because they're not the only ones. Of course, Notre Dame talks about the same events, names them differently, but they're basically the same events. Middle East is wiped out. Russia and China, United States get into it. Eventually, it clears out after however long and how many ever millions and billions of people are dead. And then actually, they agree that we become, with the exception of the Bible, we become a spacefaring race. So the thing of it is this is probably coming. And 1/3 of all contactees definitely believe this is coming. They all have this shared dream. It's a very interesting dream. It's a very scary dream, but it's very real. And the thing of it is they're naming people, they're seeing people, they're knowing people they haven't met yet that these things are going to happen to later in life. They know about events that are oncoming. And what was weird about it is the entire group, all the group that worked with us, for ICAR, about 3 days or 4 days before 9/11, they got antsy, cranky, bitchy, pissy, just calling me up, tearing me up. I'm like, well, what would I do? And they're like, well, I just feel, I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. And it was a big group of them, but nobody had no clue. They didn't see what was coming. They just knew something was on the horizon.
Does that happen after the nightmare stage? I have to ask because I know someone who's having that exact experience right now.
No, well, yeah, usually, because what happens first is when you're on board the ship, we'll use Amelia as example because we know she's a damn.
I'm having trouble breathing.
So Amelia's on board the craft, and she finds herself standing there, and she's watching these children, whatever's being done to them, and she decides, because she's a mom and she's a dago, and she decides, you know what? This is bullshit. You can't treat these kids like this. Somebody needs to be here with these children. Hey, I can say that because I'm one too, so I can get away with it. If I wasn't,
Yeah.
I'd be in big trouble right now.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is they actually, when you're on there, you pick this. You pick the moment because you're in the moment and something's going on, and you realize you become awake on the ship, and you're like, well, wait, I could actually help these children get across here. Or I could help these women. You might see somebody that identifies with your daughter because they're never going to let you around your daughter when you're on board the ship. But even though she's there, they're going to keep y'all two separate because you will probably lose your cool, like most parents would. There are very few parents that I could see that could actually go on board while something was being done with their children, and you stand there and watch it. For me personally, is a no way. I'd be trying to rip somebody's head off.
Oh
Or
no,
something. No.
that's my biggest vice too. For
So,
sure.
so they,
Oh,
they
no.
make sure, but by doing so, because you do have that maternal instinct, or sometimes with fathers, you want to help these other people. So you
You
do.
got
You
to
start
cut
talking
a
to them.
deal.
Well, yeah, well, you do in a way. You start talking to these other people, and the ET realizes, well, you're useful now. So they want you to start having X amount of recollection. So it usually manifests in dreams first. You start having these dreams. Sometimes it'll be horror dreams. Sometimes it'll be this just weird, like, what the? You wake up in the morning and your brain's going, what the hell? What would I just dream? Always keep a journal, write a journal. And I tell people all the time, write your
I
journal, write
do.
your journal, write your journal, write
I
your journal.
do.
I said, every 6 months, go through it in depth. I said, because you'd be amazed how much of this stuff is actually spread out 6 months of a year before it makes sense. But it
yeah.
does eventually make sense. Your brain somehow or another funnels it out. And then I can't tell you how many of our contactees write it in code, in their own code, all of them. It's crazy shit. They all got their own damn code. And they look similar sometimes, like it's letters they've seen maybe on board the ship or something.
Mm.
But their own codes. It makes me crazy because sometimes they forget and they'll send me a letter like that. Then they got to send me a key for it. I'm like, I'm not translating this. You better write this back in normal English, people. Or you know what? Pick up a mic. That'll work even better. But that's where it starts. And then, one day you'll be standing there, Amelia will be over there making some manicotti. And she'll just kind of glance out of
He's
her
got
eye.
a thing with manicotti lately.
I do. I've been craving. I almost got the stuff for it yesterday, but she'll look out the corner of her eye and she'll see something kind of in the corner, maybe by a glass door. So I'm just kind of, and she's like, what? And then she'll go back to what she's doing because, her brain doesn't want to say, yes, that's a damn gray standing there while I'm making my manicotti. No, you don't want to think that. You want to go back to your cooking and let it go. So later on in the evening, you're sitting there, you might be sipping a little wine, having a little dessert, and you look up and you notice as it's passing, it might be passing by a window or a door, and you'll see it as it's going by. And
It's like a translucent ripple effect.
Yeah, it's a very
Yes.
soft. It's almost a sensual kind of way they move through there because they're not trying to scare you. They're just trying to get you used to seeing them so that you can see them outside of their environment, which is the ship. Like that one that's standing right there behind it. Matter of fact, it moved your coffee cup. Put it back. Put it back. Okay. Okay. I'm just saying. I'm just trying to help you out. I don't want you getting probed or anything. I'm just trying to have them happen to you.
They don't come here.
Oh, wait, that's right. Hold on. Let me do this. I don't have no chat rooms open. The only one I got open is the ones. Oh, the one for. By the way, ladies, we're actually on International Public Radio tonight. It's actually broadcasting live.
Yay!
I
International Public
Get your asses over
Radio.
there and join.
I told him to go. Yeah, I'm the subscriber.
That's right. Yeah, she got the only one little subscriber. It's pathetic, people. It's pathetic.
Come on, get on over there.
But
Subscribe.
it is going to help us. We're going to put all of our original material there. We're going to put a lot of the international stuff there as well, so y'all can go check it out. We'll start advertising it more and more as the station goes on. But anyway, getting back to the gray standing behind Amelia. And so, she's trying to get used to seeing these things in her house because she wants
No, I'm not.
maybe be a communicator or a keeper or something. She might want to work and help people see them or understand them or help people on board the ship so that she's, because really,
Nice.
people, you'd be surprised how many of us really have good souls and really do want to help out. We don't like seeing our fellow humans being, unfortunate. We'll say it like that because there are some scary shit that goes on board the craft. But usually after that, after about 28, most of that stuff stops and it starts to revert back to a much better kind of contact. And what's more interesting about that is still these humans are having this fear, but a lot of y'all aren't. So when you're on board the craft, you're talking, you're calming people down, you're making them realize, hey, no, they're not probing you anymore. They're not cutting limbs off. They're not doing this to you, not doing that to you. You're just here to learn from this point forward, or to teach for that matter, depending on what it is. And so you're as a keeper or a communicator trying to help these people to absorb this, become part of this, and still at the same time with yourself deal with the fact that you now know for a fact you've been taken by extraterrestrials, and not only have you been taken, they are using you for something. It's a lot to deal with for anybody, not including all that shit that's locked up in the back of your head that went on from pre-birth to where you are, whatever age you are now. And for most women, the awakening usually starts 35 to 40. There is cases where it's earlier, but it's 35 to 40. And then people who just discover it are usually 50 and up. So it just depends where you are in figuring out that something's going on. But those seem to be the easiest time for people to deal with it too. They're more mature. They understand things better. They're not as likely to go screaming, yelling in the dark, "Come save me from the alien in my house." I don't think that would go real well. Not even in Canada. They'd be like, "Excuse me, you got what in your house?" Oh, it's an illegal alien. Okay, you're okay. Then you keep it.
You're good.
So there's when I look at some of these signs, because there are like multiple signs that you've most likely been abducted, and I remember hearing when I was in the haunted forest in Romania, one of these things are tapping or humming noises, which is like a droning sort of thing, and I mean, it's a total hotspot for UFOs there. But I remember hearing a lot of those sounds even now. That seems to be a real popular one, tapping or humming noises at night. Like there's reports where people say it actually sounds like I said one from my other house, it sounded like I had a Lancaster going over the damn house at like 2 or 3 a.m.
Mill labs is what it sounds like to me.
It's like,
sounds like you've been mill labs.
Oh,
usually with it sounds like military abduction. Usually alien abductions.
Great.
Because alien abductions are almost completely silent. There's
they are here, like you can just hear very, very.
Well, they have a way, and they don't always do it. They have a way to cancel out like sound and smell. Mm-hmm. I have no idea how to do it, but we've talked about it many times because. Mm-hmm. All right, to put this in perspective, they're taking you out of your house, so there's smells in your house, and there's sounds in your house, whatever they may be, clocks, TVs, whatever it might be, or just whatever smells. You might have just been cooking or something. But all of a sudden, for you, there's an absence of sound and an absence of smell. You can still feel and you can still see, but for the other two, there seems to be those senses seem to have been blocked for some reason, and it's so weird because. Humans are weird. We're used to having all of our senses intact. So when you start blocking senses, it kind of throws us off. It throws our equilibrium off. It throws off the way we act. It makes us kind of defensive. But it also makes it hard for you to identify a smell from an alien or a sound from an alien. So it usually stays like that until they get you wherever they're bringing you on board the craft. And then the audio comes back, and you'll start hearing things. And a lot of times it depends what age you are, where you are. A lot of times you might not want to hear anything. If you're like from 17 or 14 to 28, you won't hear none of that crap. It's not all the time. A young woman wrote to me the other day about 26, and she writes to me because she was really scared. And she says, I said, no, it's not an everyday thing, and it doesn't happen all the time. I said, unfortunately, at that age is where they're really stressing your body and your brain the most because, unfortunately, as humans, that's where we can take it the most. I said, but it's not all directed at you, and it's not a directed anger kind of thing. It's just they're trying to learn things about our limitations and teach us stuff about our own limitations at the same time. And I said, humans are not real good about, being jacked out in the middle of the night, drug off into a spaceship and told you got to do this.
Makes us a bit volatile.
So, I mean, it's so it makes you, you'd sleep deprived. It makes you angry. And you wonder why some of these people are so angry, but that's why. And then eventually all of that changes and the contact becomes something much different. And it's really what the contactee or the abductee wants to make out of it at that point. Sometimes the ET will just stop taking you because really you're not useful anymore. They're through that part of the experimentation, and it doesn't look like you're going to be somebody who's part of the program for the rest of however long they're going to keep you, probably the rest of your life. So those people get dumped, and they just stop taking them. So that's why sometimes, and it's a weird thing for people if they've identified that they've been taken and then it stops. It's like something's missing in their life. Even though they don't want it to happen again, it's still weird because it's like something's missing in their life. They're like, well, why do I feel so weird about this? I said, because it's been going on. I said, you're 40 now. So it's been going on since before you were born. Now all of a sudden it just stopped. And your brain is still expecting it, but it's not going to happen anymore. But
So is that feeling of loss? You know, how some people say they have a feeling that they don't really belong here, maybe in this time or space, or maybe like they feel like they've left someone behind, like they just feel really lost.
well, it's because they've lost that connection. And it's more than that. And this is something that most people don't realize. So you've lost this connection knowing you're going to be taken, but all three species do the same thing. They keep it's a very low field connection to our brains. So whatever task group you're part of, like with the Greys, they always work in threes, and each three Greys will have X amount of abductees and contactees they deal with, and probably been dealing with them their whole lives and their parents on back. But so they keep that low connection with you, and when they stop, that's gone. They drop it.
So
And
when
when
you
you know it,
say,
you feel this complete emptiness. It's like something is just missing in your brain. You're like, what the hell just happened here? It's like something that's always been with you. It's a piece of you. It's like an old shoe or something, a purse, whatever. It's something you've had with you your whole life, and all of a sudden it's gone, and you're like, what the hell? It's a friend of mine asked me if it's like losing a loved one. No, it's not that bad, but it's way worse than most people realize. Maybe like losing a boyfriend or a girlfriend or something. It's that intense. And it takes a while to get past it, but you're losing both. So you're losing that, and you're losing the physical contact. And even humans, unfortunately, even humans, when bad things are happening to them, tend to identify with their captors, and you start to miss it.
so when you say these three species we're talking grays, we're talking reptilians, who's the third?
The humans, the human aliens, they're the ones that started all this crap. By the way, they came here for whatever reason a long,
The
long time
human
ago.
aliens. Okay.
Yeah, they came here because everybody thinks the reptilians are from here. I'm not thinking so because the reptilians seem to be older species than how long ago. So dinosaurs ended here 60 million years ago. They reigned for about 200 million years. When you talk to contactees, most of them believe the reptilians are older than that, between 500 and 700 million years. So that puts them off of our planet and from somewhere else. Now, they might have been here visiting for a while. They might, whoa, check this planet out. All right, they're like us. We like it here. And then they knew the asteroid was going to come, so they left. But when they came back, they probably came back later on to check on the planet. Just to say, hey, look, to see if it was still like that, to be habitable for them. And they found humans creating human little slaves. Pissed them off for some reason. I don't know if they felt like the humans had come here and took a colony of theirs. Because a lot of people believe when they left, when the meteor came, they left underground colonies here, underground bases. They put them asleep. They were actually sleeper cell bases, but a lot of people believe it. I have no idea if it's true or not, but there's a lot of people out there that believe that. But regardless, some reason or another, the reptilians took it upon themselves to directly interfere with this human race's slave race that it created. And when it did, it made them sentient, which became us. They were here. They looked like us. They sounded like us. They were Adam and Eve of the Bible or any of the other creation stories you've ever heard of. That's who these people were. They were sentient in the fact that they knew their name. They knew they could plow the field. They could make meat. They could wear clothes. They could name animals. But they had no clue who or what they were. They didn't know they were humans. They didn't know they could say no. They didn't know they could ask questions. They weren't truly sentient in the way we are today. This was a race that was partially sentient. They were definitely bred this way so that they would be subservient to this race. The reptilians started stealing the women, raping the women. The women started having children, and those children became aggressive and said, no, my name is Bob, and I will kick your ass. You're not going to tell me I have to plow this damn field. I know what I have, and I know I have rights. And that was the beginning of the human race that's here today. It even changed more later on when the Greys decided to introduce Rh negative into our society. But the reptilians are the true, and people tell me all the time, well, that's just bullshit, Joe. There's no reptilians in this. Well, you better go look it up, people, because it's right there. And wait, people, it's the piece of your brain that's in the core. It's the little round piece that's in the middle of your damn brain. We are not anything without it. It is part of who and what we are. It's what makes us who we are. It's not what makes us aggressive. It's what makes us humans that stand up to protect our children. Because this race that they talked about, if you would have fell, got run over by a cart, they'd have just left you there. You're just, another slave, big deal. No, 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 no. But we became a much more aggressive race. The problem is somehow we allowed ourselves to fracture. If we could have stayed together at the core from the Middle East outward, we would be one big happy family today. But for some reason, we allowed ourselves to fracture, and we fractured in a major way. There's 200 fractures on the planet today. Every country is a fracture because we're all the same people.
Mm-hmm.
So being that we're the same people, how can 7 billion of us share the same DNA, come from the same source codes, and want to kill each other so bad all the time?
Sorry, there's a comment at the bottom there. I can't see with these glasses. I can't read it.
It says a part of reptilians stealing women was a part of David Wilcock's important part of his interview. Yeah, I'd love to get David Wilcock
Thank
on
you,
this
Michelle.
show. Are you kidding?
Thanks, Michelle. I don't. I picked up the wrong glasses and I can't
I
see
got
that.
27-inch screens, easy. Yeah, I would love to get him, seriously, but I don't even think, he would. I mean, he's Mr. Gaia now, so that's it.
Oh, he's Mr. Gaia.
He's on Gaia. He's got a great series, all kinds of them there. But he's very informative. So basically, they didn't, it wasn't.
And I'm pretty sure I'm the one that introduced him to this on the show. He's been on your cover a dozen times at least.
I'd love to have him.
So can you put out a good word for us?
I don't know, but I would look. If y'all remind me, I'll look in the old book, the old phone book, and see if we still have a number on it.
No, but so, I mean, the reptilians did not mess with all humans, clearly, because some evolved and some did not.
Every human on this planet has a reptilian section in their brain.
Okay, see, there we go.
So that's not an exception to anyone on this planet. This is what tells you there was a source race. This is how you know
the missing link.
That there was a race, that we weren't just two little monkeys in Africa that came to be, because that doesn't make any sense. One, and people get mad at me for that. That's why I use my DNA. All my friends that do DNA research, I'm like, people get so mad at me. You're like, no, Joe, yeah, we came from these two. No, we did not. You can say it all you want, but let me explain something to you people. If you interbreed, you get two things. You get half your society is brilliant and the other half is retarded. There is no getting around that. That's a fact of science.
Like it is, Joe. Don't hold back.
Well, no, it's just fact of science. I'm not hating. I mean, you can back it up. That's just how it is.
No, that's not what we were referring to.
You would just be, hey, I can't help that's the word.
No, it's not. The other half would be a little slow.
No, they're not a little slow at all. They would be disasters. I mean, this would be on a meg first. All the children would have deformities and all kinds. You'd have half your society would just be ungodly messed up. And it would be even worse than most people think, because just after 4 generations of interbreeding, all the bad stuff goes tenfold. So after 100 generations, it's beyond you. Most humans, that half the species wouldn't even be recognizable to us today. So we know none of that happened. We also know that it took a minimum population of 3,600 to create the population that exists on this planet today. There's no way around that. You had to have a minimum of that to have a healthy 7 billion people today. And most scientists believe that we sprung up in pockets of humans around the planet and then bred together, and that's what gave us the strong DNA we have today. In the old days, I mean, it was one of the most dumb things. Oh, yeah, we were 2 apes coming out of Africa. Really? Well, yeah. Well, how come our society is so diverse if we only had 2 parents? You got to have more than 2 parents.
Did you just hear the big clicking sound that was over here, like to my left?
He's trying to tell you, girl, don't mess with the reptilians.
I have a fan on. I can't hear. I'm a mess tonight. I got the wrong glasses, got the fan on.
I only mention it because it was actually pretty loud for a change, the movement. And I'm completely by myself here. So, okay. So then enter the Greys. The Greys decide that they are going to interfere yet again, but only with select. So where did that decision get made?
Actually, what they really did was, so they interfered with these children and they started having kids. And these kids went out into the world and started having more kids. And before long, whatever population was out there now shared this reptilian DNA, just like it shared the human DNA. So when these two decided to start abducting people for whatever genetic experiments these two idiot races decided to do, they went after the people who had the most of their DNA. So when they would go take someone, they would identify them, they'd scan them, and if there was more human and reptilian DNA, they would just let the humans take them. And that's how it went. They were dividing the planet up like that pretty well, and then for some reason, the humans just got pissed because the reptilians did this. They just got pissed. They
Right.
were like, well, look, you know what? You come over here. We created this race. We're here building a world, building a colony. You come screw the whole damn thing up. They got pissed about it. You can't really blame them for getting mad. Regardless what claim the reptilians had on this planet, you still can't get pissed from getting mad. And then the reptilians decided, well, you know what? You want to start a war? We'll go to war. We've already had one war between us anyway, so we'll go back at it. And then the light being said, or the council said, you know what? We're sending the Greys. And then the Greys interstage right, and both of them calmed their asses down. That's how you know right off the bat that the Greys never worked for the reptilians or humans, which is what most researchers used to believe, that they worked for them. You know now it's not true because they came after those two races. All you got to do is look at our history. The Greys are not mentioned until about 3,500 years ago. But the other two races are mentioned from day one. The Sumerians talk about it from day one. The Egyptians talk about it from day one. The Dogon talk about it from day one. And these are all three races that are 6,000 years old. So the Indians also talk about it from day one. You froze. Don't give me that look when you froze like that.
No,
That was like,
when that goes up, that means there's a comment.
That means there's a comment or question, Joe. We forgot to let you in on that. When I do that, that means there's something.
The finger.
there you are over there.
No, and I apologize, most. Sorry, I can't see that because I don't get.
Where does abducted people's souls go
Raphael,
afterwards?
yes.
They don't go anywhere. They stay in their body.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Well-
they keep their soul. There's no reason for a human to give up his soul. The reptilians, or the humans, or the Greys for that matter, want us to be who we are. Well, let me rephrase it. They want us to be better than who we are. But still, I mean, they're after some of our attributes. So, a good friend of mine who's a doctor asked me just a couple of weeks ago, she goes, Joe, she's like, well, why don't we find it in DNA? I said, well, why would you? She's like, well, of course, it would be different than us. I said, why? I said, the original race was introduced by the humans 200,000-300,000 years ago. The reptilians came in a little time after they introduced theirs. So that's part of us. That's not something different. It's been in our DNA chain for 200,000 years. So of course it's part of us. And then RH negative showed up about 40,000 years ago, 30,000, probably when the Greys showed up. That's also part of us now. So there would be no alien DNA because those strands are now part of who and what we are. It's probably why we have those 4,000 pieces, strands of DNA. Nobody knows what the hell they're for. That's probably what they are. And not junk DNA, probably damn alien DNA or stuff that would have developed later on.
Can I just say something? Sorry, I gave you this finger, not the other one, just in case people are listening and think, because I love Joe. If you need a reply because some of you are listening on Facebook, if you come to YouTube chat, we'll be able to easier, interact with you. Because sometimes I can miss a comment, and the only way I can respond is through YouTube.
Yeah,
so
we've
if
got
you're
8
looking
different things simultaneously. We can only respond to YouTube.
Yes. Yeah,
that's the only place I can answer, but I will get your questions. Just if you're asking me a question on the side, I can't answer you because like I said, I don't have access to the keyboard here because all 8 are in one window. Sorry, I just wanted to repeat that because they're looking for answers and I'm like, I can't even respond and I don't want you to think I'm ignoring you because I'm not.
I'm getting tons of emails because I don't have any of my Facebook pages open. I don't use Facebook on this.
No, because you're behaving yourself and you're not like in your mystery chat room that the rest of the class can't see. So
the fake one.
My babies don't mess with my girls. They will mess you up. Don't get on their bad side. Oh my God. This group's been with me. They started on Yahoo with us way back when we started UFO Paranormal, UFO Alien Phenomena. That was the name of this. And actually, I wasn't even doing UFO stuff back then. I was reading tarot cards. And it was just weird. But we started with them, and we grouped November and a couple other people I met, and they had some other weird knowledge and spirit or some shit, and I used to go hang out and torture them, right? And I was doing UFO work for MUFON at the time, but I was reading tarot cards online. And we got to talk about UFOs one night, and we started another chat room because, we wanted to have a good chat room. So that chat room grew to about 200 or 300, but on Yahoo, you didn't have any controls. So people would come room raid, get all kind of crazy, steal a mic. It'd just be insanity is what it was. So, but y'all should thank Yahoo. For anybody who's worked with me on abduction research, it's because of that chat room that I got into abduction research, all because of a guy named Ariel St. Sinclair.
What a cool name.
Yeah, he was as crazy as a loon. I mean, Jesus, was he crazy? But he's the reason why. But anyway, I'm digressing. Um, he was, but that chat group, I decided I wanted to control, so we opened up the Pal Talk chat room, which was great until we started doing radio. The Pal Talk chat room was great. And it was even great for the first 4 or 5 years on Wake Up USA because all of would come and ask questions. But since we weren't talking ufology, we weren't doing whatchamacallits anymore, sessions. The room just kind of, so now it goes anywhere from 5 to 50 people, and they pale back and forth between their Pal Talk, the Yahoo group, and the 2 Facebook groups. They just go back and forth with each other. It's kind of interesting, but UFOs are interesting, but UFO just means unidentified flying object, my friend. That's all it means. Yeah, people get mad at me all the time. I saw UFO alien craft. I said, "How do you know it's an alien? It's a UFO. It's an unidentified flying object. It's not an alien. Just because it's a UFO does not mean it's an alien. It does not." And I hate to say this, but probably 90% of everything we think is alien turns out to be government. There are because, and this is another thing the field gives me shit about. I don't believe people who are not contactees see UFOs. And I can prove it. And it makes the ufology so mad. Everybody can see them, Joe. You're wrong. I'm like, really? Let's talk about it. They're like, no, I'm telling you. I was like, really? I can prove it. I said, so this is a real easy thing. New York City. All right. We're going to talk about the Carter case. So she gets abducted, taken out of a hotel. I mean, out of her apartment window in New York City. So the ambassador to the UN, the United States ambassador to UN, and 2 Secret Service agents witnessed this. By the way, 2 Secret agents are still nuts today. They all 3 witnessed this. This woman was taken out of a window, floated into the air, and then brought into a spacecraft. This is New York City, and only 3 people saw this. Now, they admittedly said while they were looking up, people were walking by and looking up, so they had to have seen it. But this is New York City, and only those people saw it. So even the people who were looking up didn't see it. All right, so okay, you got that case. Go down to Mexico City. 22 million people in Mexico City. UFO hovered there for 28 hours. More than 1 million people, including the mayor, the local governor, some priests, some politicians, firemen, policemen, all made reports of seeing it, right? So I got a question for you. Why didn't the other 21 million people see it? Phoenix Lights, 16,000 out of 4 million. Why? And this was on the news. People knew this was going on live in both these locations, and still only this amount of people saw it. Because if you've never seen one before, you're not going to see one. Unless you're
and those who see
might
them,
see one because you're a contactee or abductee, but still, they
we see them all the time from childhood all the way.
I've never
into
seen
adulthood.
know this, people. I'm gonna put this out there, just make all the paranormal world man at one time. If you have any type of psychic abilities, you're an abducted. Just know. And I can prove that too. Because if you can go anywhere, this makes people mad too. You can go to any mall you want to. We all can because it ain't open yet. But for the rest of the free world that can go outside, you can go to a mall and do it easy. Don't even get crazy. Take a red and a blue card. 2 cards. Put the damn things down in front of you. As if people come in, ask them if they were willing to take a psychic test. Okay? 2 cards. Pick the color. Pick the color I'm thinking about. Less than 50% ever get it right. How can less than 50? I mean, you can flip a coin and get 50-50. How can less than 50% of people, because majority of people don't possess psychic abilities of any kind, not at all. And very few people possess real abilities like a good clairvoyant, a good telepath, and even somebody who remote views. There's some people who say there are, and there are some good ones, but they're very few and very far between. So of a population of 7 billion, if this was a gift that everybody possessed in some shape or form, there would be a much larger population of these people on the planet. But if only the 1.5 billion people who are being abducted have these gifts, then that makes sense. Because that is about the 15%. Did you know? Because remember, 98% of people who are abducted will never remember, ever. But you wouldn't have met me if you weren't.
She's just in denial. It's okay. She'll get there.
No, I hope I never do. I have fear of it. Pardon?
I said I was watching a little gray patch on her head earlier. That's when that little hair right there flipped up and flipped
like Benny Hill. Just kidding.
No. One of you is getting a phone call at 2 a.m. Just saying.
Michelle lives closer. Wait, where'd that come from? Oh, come on. How did he? Wait, I got to move this email over. Sorry.
Okay.
Get out
Yeah.
there.
So
Sorry
do
about that.
aliens have souls? I'm just
Yes, they have
curious.
souls.
I've never thought about that.
Actually, they have souls. They don't think we do, but they think they do.
Oh,
Remember, as
okay.
far as they're concerned, we're a created species. We didn't
I
naturally
see.
evolve. So we're technically in I guess in cosmic language we belong to the humans. They created our race, or at least our subspecies of our race. And since we share a common ancestry, and I guess if they really wanted to, they could claim us. I just don't think they want to claim us, but they could probably do it. Even though most humans would give them the big fat bird finger. It's like when people tell me, "Well, this is the reptilians' planet." Well, it might have been the reptilians' planet, but today it's the humans' planet. And I don't think we have no plans on giving it back without a fight. So, yeah,
I
maybe
think the planet is shared with different
it
species.
definitely is shared,
Absolutely.
but the dominant species is the human race. Um, you know, we are the dominant species, 7.6 billion of us now, and growing every day. Yeah, in less than 30 years, we'll be over 9 billion people. God, we'll probably have 2 or 3 million people on Mars by then. It's going to get crowded, people. We'll eventually get off the planet and get out of here. And as soon as the aliens like, okay, humans, can y'all come out here without blowing any shit up? Can you at least try not to blow anything up? We'll try. And the first thing we do is go blow a planet up. I can see us right off the bat. Boom. Can't help ourselves. We're children. Is what the problem is. We really are just children.
So let's explore something. What makes one enticing for abduction? Why don't let's
Because they took
sidetrack a
your
bit.
parents 500 years, billion years ago. When we were talking about earlier, when we were talking about the creation of the race,
Yeah.
that's what decided who was getting abducted right there. So what makes this interesting is today it's not as deep as it was then because an average person then had 10 to 12 children. Okay, so each one of those probably had 10 to 12 children. So less than 100 years, you're talking 3 or 4 thousand contactees just in that one family line. So when you take that family line from 200,000 years ago and bring it to today, you're talking a lot of people. You're talking a couple of million per family. So everybody who's abducted today is just simply part of the original abductions, the original family lines. They only abduct in family lines, and the Greys and reptilians and humans only abduct in family lines, and generally only abduct in their family lines, meaning that you're directly related to the person that's abducting you. You share a common DNA with them. That's why they're taking you in the first place. It's interesting stuff.
Okay. So you're saying it's a lineage thing.
Well, for the reptilians and humans it wasn't for the Greys until later when they decided, for some reason, so they come bring RH negative in, and then out of the blue they decide they're going to take over 60% or 65% of all abductions. They're like, okay, humans, you're not going to be abducted as much, so we want all of these ones you've been abducted are going to be in our group now, and you can only have the ones that are really, really, really closely related to you. And the way they tell that is for the reptilians, a contactee who's a reptilian contactee one may have genetic memory. He or she may be having memories that are very real and very vivid, but they're not their memories. They're from somebody else in the family down the line somewhere. Also, male and female alphas do believe if you're that closely related, they can have sex with you anytime they want, anywhere they want, anyhow they want, without any protest whatsoever from you. So that's something that humans are, especially, well, it doesn't matter, male or female. Humans are like, excuse me, what? That's not quite how our society works, my friend. That's what makes it interesting. But, it does work out, though.
Joe, there's KD asks two questions. It's basically one, but it's in two parts. Are super scientists God? Yes, no. So are aliens not God? Just they are beings. That's from KD.
Well, aliens are just aliens. They're not gods by any means. I mean, if they when they showed up in the past, of course, there was no other way to look at them. And even for today, a lot of humans would have a hard time looking at aliens other than gods. When you see the Gray floating out of his spacecraft and he's rolling his hands over the water and the fish are jumping up and then he comes on land and casts his hands over and heals your disease. Well, I mean, that's what they say Jesus did in the Bible. So that would make him a god. Well, no, we know that the Gray is not a god. We know he's just an alien or she's just an alien. Bruce, we're not getting into Jesus thing, but it's how did I hold on a second? Sorry guys. I don't know how that email keeps popping up. It keeps popping on my screen. You know what? I can fix that right now. Just close that bitch.
There's a
Goodbye.
comment there from Santiago. I'm dead ass. The people with the highest.
The people
That
with
is
the highest
that's
percent of
true.
Rh negative bloodlines are the Basque people from northern Spain and southern France. Sorry, just reading for the audience.
Yeah, no,
No,
that's
thank
true.
you for
That's
reading. Can't see
actually,
squat.
y'all have to remind me because we can do this with them.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. What the
Yeah.
heck is that now? Okay,
So
good.
I keep forgetting we actually have that option.
Worse
on here.
now. It's worse now for me.
It's,
No, I've got the wrong glasses. I picked up the wrong glasses out of my drawer.
The ones I'm wearing
Sorry.
tonight just seem to be very reflective. I can see everything behind me and looking at the screen. It's very weird.
I can see everything
It's
in your
really strange.
glasses tonight.
I
Yeah.
know, that's what I'm saying. They're different. They're I don't know. Maybe they're too new or something. Or maybe there's just too much lighting here. Might be the problem. No, the RH negative thing is really cool because it does show that somebody intervened in our society for some reason or something. You know, people always telling you, well, Mother Nature did that. So, well, what the hell guy decided she wanted to kill babies for? I said, that just doesn't sound like Gaia to me. I don't see Gaia going around going killing babies. What the hell's up with that? Because that's what RH negative and RH positive did forever was kill babies, stillborn, blue babies.
Yeah.
So that was a bad thing. It was not really conducive to our society until we became today's society. Then it became everything. It became a universal donor. It became the
Yes.
most purest form of blood known in the human race for hematological research.
But they can't
just
receive blood from anyone but their own.
Yeah, RH negative people can. How do I know that? Because I am RH negative. Actually, yes, I am. Unfortunately,
Yeah,
RH negative.
same.
And let me tell you what: when a hospital finds out I'm RH negative, they're like, "Oh, would you like to donate to Mr. Joe? Mr. Joe, come, why don't you come donate a quarter a day for the next couple of weeks?" What the hell? Well, we'll pay you. I'm like, look, people, if I want to donate my blood, I'm gonna donate. You don't even be paying me for my damn blood. And besides, I like keeping it in my veins where it belongs. I'll share. I mean, if somebody in family, but because you can take it. But my problem is, and we talk about this all the time. AB negative and AB positive is only 1.5% of the population. And and it was a true statement 30 years ago, 40 years ago, before we found this out. They were pretty much if they got hurt anywhere.
But that
unless
is
they were
one of
big,
the rarest blood types,
it
too.
is. But it would be considered the most rarest. And until 40
The
years
golden
ago,
blood, actually. Have you heard of the golden blood? There's like 400 people in the entire world that have it.
Yeah, that's some other kind of alien
Gold?
blood.
Gold. It's called
Is
the
it
golden
gold?
blood.
It's supposed
Is it
to be
lighter?
it's supposed to be a pigment mutation in the blood itself. But
Yeah, it's just something
I have
crazy.
it has something to do with the way the body metabolizes the oxygen. But I don't remember what the hell it was.
There'd be some struggles if they needed blood because, I mean, they don't all,
Oh
I'm sure they
my
don't all know
God.
one another. Yeah.
No, and I'm sure that they've
But
had
they could still
surgeries
have
or some need for it.
they can still take Rh negative blood.
Right.
They can't. Well,
everyone
let me
can.
let me rephrase. That's not exactly true. They can't take the blood. They can take the plasma, but it would still save their lives. But the Rh negative people cannot take anything but Rh negative. They can't take and a good friend of mine's AB negative, and his dad died in Europe about 40 years ago because it was a fluke accident. He got hit by a machete, cut his top of knee, busted an artery. Well, they got him to the hospital in time, but they did not have any AB negative. And nobody back then knew that you could use O negative, so he bled to death. He died because he couldn't get a transfusion. Now today, that would be different. They could just give him Rh negative and he would survive. They could get any villager, anybody in the hospital, or anybody to come give him a transfusion, and he would survive. And what was it? That's like God sent to us, especially a warring race like ours. That was like the invention of penicillin. This changed our society in ways it made mobile units, hospitals, ERs, everybody. Now we don't have to stock umpteen billion pieces of blood in the hospital. Just start stocking Rh negative. Even though it's only 7% of the world's population, it's probably the most stocked blood on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't blame them because it's useful for all sorts of things. A lot of people used to think it was the reptilians that gave us the Rh negative when they interbred with our society. But it doesn't seem like that because it still seems like until more recent times, everybody was still brown-eyed, brown-haired, and boring. I get in so much trouble when I say that. I would get all kind of emails. You're such an ass. You just hate everybody with brown hair and brown eyes. That's not true. I love people with brown eyes. People, you do know my wife has brown eyes.
Brown eyes are beautiful.
I know. I didn't say they weren't.
My daughters are almost black. They're so dark you can't see her pupil. I love them. She's got my mother. She has my mother's eyes.
Us colored eyed people. Before I get in trouble, we be special. Well, I don't want to get in any trouble for saying it. I come out the wrong way. There'll be all kind of shit going on.
I sent a photo of my eyes to Joe to analyze them. I'm like, okay, can you explain why I have every color in the world in my damn eyeball?
Hey,
But
well, that makes you happy. I mean, what the hell? You know, weird things make people happy. Lots of weird stuff makes me happy. Like watching
I've
people
always
get
been curious about hazel eyes. I always have, because it's a mix. So you wonder, is it pieces of your ancestry? Is it like, what is it?
what's
My
weird
dad
about
had
hazels
gray
is
eyes and my mother had chestnut. Like, how the hell do I get all of them?
there was a lot of people in my family that had them bedroom blue eyes, them weird, light, really weird blue eyes. I always thought they were alien eyes too. So there's some creepy ass shit looking. Like, in fact, you see him coming out of the dog, you think a vampire was coming for you or something. I was like, get out of here, man. But it was weird because the majority of my family did either have green or blue eyes, or a mix of one of the two. It's something to do with our Scottish Irish heritage. Because on the Italian side of my family, everybody is brown eyed, black haired, and brown eyed. I mean, serious, like jet black hair and brown, deep brown eyed. All the women are beautiful in the family too.
Yes, Bubbles.
There is a comment from KD, and I'm going to address this, please, and thank you. I am interested in the creator of all life because all of this alien talk is getting me nowhere. Who knows what is beyond the third world? I hate to disappoint you. That's all we're talking about tonight.
You have to tune in for a different show depending on the guest. Tonight is alien abduction night.
Well, think about this. Since you're talking about the creator, your creator, if you're a human, is the aliens. So you need to pay attention to that.
Oh no.
Oh yes. If you're
no, I'm just saying. Oh no.
I'm just telling you. If you are human, your creator is aliens. It is not some omnipotent super being from heaven that came down and created us. I'm sorry if you don't want to break that to you. Or the 6th great extinctions prior to the one that's fixing to happen on this planet soon. You know, I would be much more conducive to religious stuff if we would have mentioned anything that happened prior to 6,000 years ago. I'd have been, okay, if you're the omnipotent super being, you know everything, so you know what was going on the planet for the last 4 billion years, not the last 6,000. That would suggest somebody who just showed up on the scene.
Yeah, see, I still believe in God.
I have no problem.
People don't realize that alien abductions are even written all over the Bible.
Yeah,
Enoch is your very first alien abductee. Ezekiel is an abductee.
Yeah, Ezekiel and the wheel. I mean, you can't even get any better. That's a great one.
It's true. It's all over if you look for it and you know what you're looking for. So, right, you know, I always say it's theory until you know we get there and then we have a better understanding. She says, what created the aliens who created me?
Not the God that we think created us. And I will tell you what the aliens think about our belief in God.
Now, can you just stress for 1 second how you have a lot of this information so people are confused? Maybe talk about Haikar a little bit.
Yeah, just a little thing right here. So, lady, you know, we know a lot of religious people. So, to put this in a footnote, I used to work with a group that used to do. They thought alien abductions were demonic possessions. That's what they thought they were. They were the alien resistance movement. Okay, that's who they were. They were out of Roswell, and I'm still friends with a couple of them today. Even though we don't agree, I'm still friends with them. So they believed that it was demonic possession and that you could be removed through, you know, getting a priest or something to do it. So what happened was I was attending Roswell. I think it was the 58th or something. And I was out there lecturing, and a lady, a friend of mine, who's a friend of mine, came up to me. Well, at the time came up to me and said, hey, I went to this group and they said, I got this done and now I don't have alien abduction. But she said, I still kind of feel something. She said, would you be willing to hypnotize me while you're in Roswell? She said, I'll pay you for your time. Hey, Christian. And I said, well, you don't have to pay me. I said, I'm here for this anyway. I said, so, you know, come by and see me this afternoon. I said, I'll have somebody at the hotel with me so you don't feel uncomfortable, you know, being in a guy's hotel room with him by himself. So actually I had 2 people there. So we came in, we did the regression, and sure enough, she was still being taken. I mean, we weren't even under 20 minutes when it just popped out, and she woke straight up. She's like, and I'm not even going to say the word. She said, this was a very sweet, very Christian woman. And she went to cussing like a sailor. And I was just, you know, so she had actually talked to some of her other friends that had undergone this and asked them if they would come see me. I'm like, well, look, I said, if they're comfortable and think this is over with, leave them feel like that. There's no reason to bring this back in their life if they've gotten past it, because it's scary shit. Let's be honest about it. But they wanted to know, so we did hypnosis and come to find out none of them the alien abductions were still going on. And then one of the guys, actually two of the guys involved in the thing, called me and said, "Why are you doing this?" I said, "Because I was asked." And guy, which guy Malone's a friend of mine, he said, "Well, Joe," I said, "I'm not saying y'all are fraud or anything, guys. I said, I'm just saying that it doesn't seem to have stopped." I said, I'm good at what I do. I said, but you don't have to take my word. Get somebody else to regress them. I said, put somebody else under and see what's going on. And of course, we found out that no, they were still being taken. Well, in one of the cases, the lady is being taken. She's being abducted. She's in the middle of an abduction, and the Greys are really messing with this woman. And she's really pissed, and she's crying, and she's screaming, and she's pissed. And she starts invoking the name of Christ because somebody told her if you invoke the name of Christ, that this would make them stop. You know what the Greys did? They took her eyes out of her head like this and turned them around so she could see herself and said, "Now get your God to fix these." That's how much they believed in our God or feared our God. None at all. They have no fear of our God whatsoever. They do not believe in it. They do not think it exists. They think we're dumbass humans and do really not understand what the universe is. In their case, they do believe in a supreme entity. And they do believe that there's something out there that's greater than them, Kevin.
Okay. Katie says, I talk beyond aliens and existence, and so is Joe. You just need to listen and hear him out. Joe's explaining to you. He's not disagreeing with you.
The aliens have been around for a while.
This is going all over the place.
Yeah. Well, the aliens have been here for
ancient civilizations. It's all right.
Well, look at it this way. Our little planet is 4.5 billion years old. Life has only been on this planet for 1 billion years, and only intelligent life for the last 4 or 5 million years. That's it. Now, think about what I just said. 4 or 5 million years. The galaxy is 14 billion years old. So do you really believe in 14 billion years this is the best the galaxy could come up with, or the universe is us? You really believe that? That in this whole entire massive universe that's out there, that we are the pinnacle of evolution for this universe? We're not even a pinnacle of evolution for our own planet, much less for this universe. So if there is a God, it created everything out there. More than likely, the universe is the creator of us. God probably created a universe, and the universe took over from that point. I mean, most people do believe the universe itself is sentient because it can create and destroy life on its own.
And also bear in mind, people, that ICAR, basically that Joe owns and is director of, how many people do you have who have been abducted or contacted who are basically members, many who have been hypnotized, where a lot of your information comes from?
Yeah, currently 68,000 is our current. These are abductees. These aren't actually members. There's 87,000 members of the organization, but there's 68,000 members who have been investigated by someone either inside this organization or referred to us from another organization, such as MUFON or Free.
So there's a lot of similarities that you're basically taking from that, like from multiple people who have similar stories.
Yeah, and that's what it is. You get all these people feeding you all this different information. And I was very lucky because in the beginning I knew squat, and then for the first 10 years, my brain was like on overdrive because it was just we were building databases and information. And a good friend of mine, Kelly, was constantly building databases, and we were constantly just pumping shit into it. And then one day, we sat down and we realized we were at 22,000 cases. We were like, shit, this was in less than 7 years. We were like, wow. But we had also had an additional 5,000 cases that we had gifted from MUFON back in when I was with them, before ICAR was formed, we had done an abduction survey, me and a couple of members, and we took those 5,000 cases with us. So with the 7,000 we had, that put us up to 12,000, and then next thing we knew, we were 22. And here we are, the organization. Technically, the organization itself is 22 years old. I've been in the field going on almost 40 years, 38, 39 years. Actually, I've been in the field longer than I've been married. So almost 40 years. I know a lot, and I've talked to a lot of people. And I've talked to anybody in the field. And yes, I'm one of the few people who will actually go out there and contradict what popular ufology says, or not popular abduction, because ICAR kind of sets a ton of abductions. We don't get the credit we should, but we do set it. If you ever listen to Wake Up USA or any of our material, notice it goes back about 30 years, like the blood type study. We introduced it 20 years ago. And then we introduced it on Ancient Aliens 6 years ago, before anybody else was even talking about it. Mm-hmm. So a lot of our research is out there for people to use it. And we want people to use it. I mean, that's what it's there for. We want you to use it. It'd be nice if you gave us a little credit every once in a while, but we do want you to use it and learn from it and understand what it is. And really and truly, for this is for Katie, I'm going to tell you what I personally think. This isn't anything to do with aliens. Really, what it seems like from the research I've done and other people I've talked to and other spiritual people I've talked to, it seemed like the universe itself is sentient and conscious. It seems like it's aware and awake. So more than likely, something created the universe. Some super entity created the universe, and the universe became omnipotent and became enlightened and became spiritual in itself. And then all of a sudden, it got so big that it had to create life so that it could break itself off into little pieces so it could figure out what the hell it was, because it had gotten so massive it didn't know what it was anymore. Because the universe is huge and there are thousands, actually millions of galaxies in it, and probably hundreds of trillions of Googles of beings in it. And we're just one of just trillions. And I don't like saying it that way because it makes us sound insignificant, and we're not. We are significant. We do have something to contribute. We are one of the cells in the beast that keeps it alive and moving and understanding.
But essentially, we're a grain of sand on a very big beach.
We are a grain of sand on a very big beach. Unfortunately, that is true. But we can be the grain of sand that cuts you in the foot.
There we go.
So we can be the one that stands up with this week.
Go ahead, Amelia.
Thank you. Zachman says that is an interesting concept, Joe. If aliens do not fear our God, yet they believe in a supreme being, how do they view this being? Are their spiritual beliefs based on a scientific approach?
That's a damn good question, by the way, Zach.
Yeah.
Way to go, Zach.
So we learned through the reptilians that they have a one religion. Their society believes in one religion. There's like 9 clans in the reptilians, or even more, but they believe in one religion. Okay, and they worship a God that they think created the universe. They don't think it created itself. They think it created the universe. What's interesting about that is the human aliens almost have this almost a similar belief, not quite the same, but a similar belief. But because of different things they've learned in science and things they've learned about the universe, they know that something did create the universe. So for them, it's a little different. They look at this in a 2-part thing. There was an original creator, but the human race does not think the creator exists anymore. They think he died or passed away and left the mantle to the universe itself, which is sentient. By the way, the Greys, reptilians, humans, and light beings all believe the universe is sentient, that it is alive. They all believe that. So for them, the universe probably is the God that you and I are thinking about, the God that created Earth, the God that set things in motion. But that's not the God that actually created the universe. That's a separate entity. So it gets a little different. But it also brings you back to like the Romans and Greeks' belief, because they believed that too. They believed that there was a creator that created the universe, and then someone else created everything else. It just created the universe, and the universe kind of took it in creation from that point. And it does make sense because we watch solar systems being born every day. We watch solar systems dying every day. We watch great black holes eating whole civilizations. We don't know if they are, but we're pretty sure they are. We also watch them being born and creating civilizations. And for us, we're in the middle. We're not even in the middle. So in the middle would make us about 8 billion years old. So we're a young race, and we're a young planet for that matter. And there's another little trick to this that most people didn't realize. It's a good chance that our solar system, a 50-50 chance, was deposited here by the Sagittarius galaxy, which is being eaten by the Milky Galaxy way right now. So are we even native to this galaxy is a question we still have to answer. Mm-hmm. We may be the aliens. We're always saying the aliens are visiting us, but we might actually be the invading aliens from a different galaxy. Because, and by the way, we're eating more than just the Sagittarius. We're eating like 4, and eventually Andromeda is going to eat us. But that's not for 1.5 billion years yet. But still, eventually it's going to eat us. But while this is all going on, we learned something. Earth found that it was surrounded by a lot of red dwarf stars that were from the Sagittarius galaxy, which suggests that maybe we came from there too. There's no way of proving it right now. Scientists go back and forth. I've heard arguments for both sides. But it is at least possible that we're not actually from this galaxy, that we're from another one that was eaten and put us here, which suggests right there that there's life in more than one galaxy because we're not even from this one. So knowing that suggests that there's something much more powerful out there, much more so than what we think of God. And I don't like people putting limitations on God. I get in trouble for this all the time when people limit the creator. Well, they could only have created us. Why? The God created the universe, and you're telling me he can only create us? Get the hell out of here. That's just a dumb thing to even say. I would imagine for an omnipotent super being that was going around creating things, there's probably lots of races out there, and some in much different shapes, sizes, and colors, and much smarter than we are. Eventually, though, we'll catch up. Hopefully.
Okay. I just need to do a quick station ID, boss.
That's right, damn it. Get to
That's right. Now I have to remember it all, though. You are listening to The Outer Realm with Michelle Desrochers and myself, Amelia Pisano, with the amazing, the outstanding proprietor host. Oh my gosh, God in his own right, Joe Montaldo.
Somebody wants brownie points.
Just a little bit. International Public Radio. We are United Public Radio. This is on 107.7 FM or 105.3 FM in New Orleans. Thanks to the good people at Folgers Coffee who partially sponsor this program. And thank you all for tuning in.
Yeah, thank you for tuning in. And Katie, aliens don't want to be worshipped. I'll tell you that now.
No.
They make fun of us for worshiping other things. They don't want to be worshipped.
Do they worship really, gold the way we worship gold?
No, they don't. No, to them, gold is a very useful product. See, and we know this as humans. Gold is a very useful product. We prefer to wear it instead of using it for electronics, but they use it for all sorts of things, but not to wear it. It's not the same thing for them. It's just a whole different kind of setup. But they kind of believe like everybody else. I mean, we all know it doesn't matter who you are. If you were born in this universe, then we're all related because we all come from the same star stuff. We're all got to share the same matter from wherever you are in this damn universe. Everybody alive in this solar system, everything alive in this solar system shares the DNA of our sun, everything, including us. So it does prove that everything in the galaxy is interconnected because we all do share the same exact dust. So basically, and this helps prove my point, everything that's made in this universe is connected to this universe directly because it's made from the matter of this universe, which means all of us, everything, every planet, every solar system, every black hole, every nebula, every human, every alien, doesn't matter. We're all connected. It's probably why some of us are much better at connecting to other things than others because we are connected to it. It's the same DNA. It's the same mud, same dirt. Yes. Unfortunately, the dirt on Mars is the same dirt that's on Earth. It's the same dirt that's in your DNA, the same stuff that you're made of. It's the same star stuff. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't make the rules. I'm just enforcing the damn things. It's not me, Giselle. I've been called a lot of things, but not that one. That's not some
St. Joe of United Public Radio.
No, unfortunately, I've been called.
I missed that one, Zach, man. Thank you.
Usually they got little pitchfork ear thingies, but I just
the horns are hiding behind his sunglasses.
And people ask me all the time, especially when I'm lecturing, well, you don't like God, Jake? Oh, no. I said, no, I mean, I was raised Catholic. I transferred to Baptist and went to teaching for a long time. It's not that. I just know there's more to what we've been told. Religion was created by man for the control of man. See, I've never been religious, but I've always been spiritual. And there's a big difference between religion and spirituality. And it's hard for a lot of people who are religious to understand that. It's not the same thing. Worshiping in church and being spiritual is not the same thing. St. Thomas Epistles tells you this. Split a log, there I am. Split a rock, there I am. Don't need churches to talk to God. Don't need Bibles to talk to God. It clearly says that. The only thing written in Aramaic at the time of Christ clearly says that. But yet instead, we're going to worship something that was written 300 years after the fact by the apostles. What do you mean by the apostles? Actually, it was by letters. So, yeah, you believe that if you want. I just think that there's something better than what we're being told out there. I think that humanity has been served a bad joke because someone wanted control of us. And we watched the Europeans take over with religion. We watched it. And we go back and look at it again. There's tons of TV shows about it even today, thanks to COVID. So denying it's stupid.
No, and I also want to make reference to the one only cosmic being that no one is seeking. I think people seek that being in many ways, shapes, and form. But maybe it all comes from within ourselves. Well, maybe it's not as black as white and white as you think it is. Maybe you really do need to learn how to leave your body and, meditate, leave the body, go up and interact on a energy level, because you may not find that in a physical place.
But even that we're going to be limited on because we're such a limited species.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody tell me, well, I can go up to the Greys. No, you can't. The Greys are not. First off, you cannot go to the Greys consciousness level. It would burn you to cinders. Their brain moves at such a faster speed than ours. It's just not even a possible thing. But we can interact with other aliens on our race, like the black-eyed children race or black-eyed people race. They're on the same technological level we are, about the same understandings of everything that we are. And people, before you start writing to any of the three of us, I'm not saying that all black-eyed things are aliens. I do know there's other things out there that show up in people's houses. I'm just saying there's a race of them. They look a lot like us, actually, except they got dark eyes and their skin's a little different, weirder shade.
Little chalky.
You know what's weird, though? Think about this. I was thinking about this the other day. Why is it that all these alien races are one color and ours is like 4? Is it because we got all these other DNAs in us? Is that what's going on? That's just
thought
weird.
It was just because of where you live. And then
I would think that. But if these races have different or all one color, then it's more than that. It's got to be genetics.
Well, it depends if they have the sun around their planets the way we do. We don't know what type of sun they have around them.
Well, no, we know the human aliens' planet is a lot like ours, except that they don't breathe oxygen; they breathe another type of gas. But its sun's basically the same as ours. It's not all that much different than our planet. It's actually, in their own words, just kind of boring like ours is.
Well, they look a lot alike too, right, Joe?
Yeah, they do look a lot like us too. Yeah, and the Greys you can tell come from a different kind of world, something probably darker, different type of gravity. Number one, they don't seem to have bones; they seem to have cartilage, and they can move way faster. They're way stronger than us. Yeah, we was always told as young researchers, "Oh, a little 3-foot gray, anybody can take him out." My ass, a little 3-foot gray dragged me around like I'm a potato sack. I'm glad we found that out. And then finally, I seen a movie actually predicted or show it was Taken when they did the miniseries. They actually showed him dragging the little guy down the hallway, the big guy down the hallway while he's walking on the ceiling dragging the guy like it was nothing behind him because they are way stronger than the reptilians or the Greys. And even though they're smaller, the reptilians and humans are scared shitless of them. They are literally scared of them. They do not like being around them because I guess if the Greys get angry, you've had it. And they won't even have to lift a finger. They just think and kill you. They truly possess telekinesis in the form that can kill you. So they don't, for them, for what we understand about them now, more so than we did, they're basically the galactic policemen. They work for the council or the light beings. It depends who you want to ask. But the light beings just head up the council, so it's the same damn thing. So they just work for them. For some reason, though, they are hostile to. They just don't like the human aliens or them. They like them less than they like us. It's weird. They don't like either race. I guess maybe because they had to come here. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe they're pissed that they had to come over here and take care of this problem. They're probably back in the world enjoying whatever it is, kind of dark sun they got.
I want to just make and again address this. Not bowing down to Greys as our creators. Greys are not our creators. They intervened. They added. They modified. I guess some people, not necessarily all. I mean, people are doing it right now in this day and age. People are being modified. It's not unheard of. It's just a thing. The higher species will modify maybe the lower species. Like this isn't new. This is science. This is something that happens, and
look at World War II. Hitler's experiments on twins.
Right there.
Oh, good Lord!
One of the brunette from well, even just in Superior Beings, the brunette from ABBA. Yeah, she is one of those experiments.
And then we know what was it in 82 or 84 when they had the test tube baby.
Yeah.
So we know all this stuff. We're doing all this now. It's just most countries now. Well, the UN's got a law against certain genetic engineering, but eventually we will be an engineered species. It's just a matter of time. It's just I just hope we engineer ourselves correctly and not as some evil crazy race like you see in Star Wars.
It's definitely
the whole
happening,
thing, right? Because a lot of people look at it in a visual sense instead of a health sense. A lot of people are like, "Oh, I can pick my baby's eyes." I'm like, wouldn't you rather pick that your baby's healthy? Than if you had that option.
No, you would think people don't have the priorities.
Yeah,
Yeah.
people are kind of screwed up. They are. Oh, I see Zach's questions came up, but they are kind of. I don't know. They're just kind of screwed
See, I
up.
like that. That's right up here on the screen. That's easy.
Yeah, well, that's
I
what I'm
have
saying.
right.
I forget. I can forget that I can put them up there. And I got an
Yeah.
idea about this. We're going to try something in a week or two to see if we can give more access to this, so people can do the same things. But actually, Zach, that's an interesting question. Now, this speculation, it's only comes from contactee data, but it appears to be that, like, when they settled Earth, the original two great white dome cities they built here, they were dome cities, and they used to bring their humans in and give them these little metal clips that went over their nose so they could breathe. But
Oh, okay.
they built these cities. Yeah, you know what it sounded like the first time I heard it? It sounded like Battlefield Earth. I was kind of like, what? But these two, they built these two cities, and this is where they live. Well, they built these in a valley in a mountain area where they had a river coming through it. So obviously, they wanted the resources of the river and they wanted the protection of the valley. So it shows you even an advanced race that's coming here settling for whatever reason still wants to use those types of protections. So that tells you on their home world where they're from, this was a method that was used there, way back in the day, probably. So here they are on a basically a hostile world where everything wants to eat them, and that's how they designed it. And then they created the subspecies of humans. And people always get confused, but the subspecies is not us. They're descendants of ours, but they're not us. They weren't the sentient. They didn't possess the reptilian section in their brain, and they just weren't the sentient species that we were. Maybe the Greys hoped when they were introduced to RH negative that it would calm down from what the reptilians did. I have no idea what the hell they were doing there, but now it seems like we have all three species blood in us, and this came up in a lecture just recently, an online lecture. Um, knowing that, wouldn't that make them nervous that we have all three of their DNA? That means somewhere along the line we're going to surpass their asses. It's just a matter of time. We will become the strength of the size of the humans, the strength of the reptilians, and the mental facilities of the Grey. That will make us ungodly diddly in the universe. We'll surpass all of them.
But that's just it. I think we're already there. We are, like I always say, we're that species with amnesia. I think if we just woke up, we would realize the potential that we really are.
Well, we got potential, but our brain isn't developed enough yet because our brain is smaller than the three races we're talking about considerably.
Of course.
Compared to the Greys, our little brain would fit in their skull 4 times. So we have to get to a certain point. And in a way, I think that's what those host bodies are for. It's like a cheat because those brains are about double the size of ours. In general, our bodies are about double. So I would look just like I do right now, except I'd still be the same proportion, but I would be wider, taller, and my head would be bigger. But I would still it would be the exact person, just in a more proportionate body. But with all that extra brain power becomes a lot of other things that become available to humans. One of the things they talk about, one of the reasons we're not a very telepathic ability is the way the frontal lobes of our brain are set up. They're developing, but they haven't quite got to that point yet. Some people, for some reason, have developed faster than others. And maybe it's because they're closer in the line. Or maybe with contact IDs, I know what it is a lot of times, is because they use it so much on board the ship when they're home, they don't think about it, they just use it. That's why so many of them will tell you stuff like, oh, I know who's at the front door, I know who's on the phone, I know what's going on, I know what's knocking, I know they're coming. It's a very strange phenomenon itself. But contactees use their abilities a lot because they're on board the ship, and that's pretty much the way everybody talks. Not just the aliens. Most of the humans are used to telepathy as well. So when you're on board the ship using it all, you want to use it when you're home. Yeah. Also, it's why a lot of times parents know where their kids are and what their kids are up to and what they're doing. Which one of the studies we did was amongst abductee parents and how psychic they were when they came to their children. They're about 5 times as psychic as the average parent. Not only did they know their kid was in trouble, they knew where the freaking kid was and where to go get him from. They didn't need no directions. They just got in the car when you got their damn kid. They were just that good at it. It's a very strange phenomenon. We've watched it, but a lot of times they can tell you where a person's at, what the person's wearing, what the person's doing. They have very, very, very clear sight sometimes. And it's just not something you see in general in our species yet. I mean, we're just so far from that as a species. Look, personally, I wish everybody become telepathic because then we'd become a much different society. If everybody knew when somebody was lying, man, look, just think about this. Half the guests that come on this network probably wouldn't come on here anymore because they would know. I can't tell that bullshit story. I'd be
Can I mention a few of these signs, and you can tell me if you think government, ET, or both?
Uh,
Okay, it's kind of like a game. Okay, lost time. Lost times is a big one if you've been abducted.
yeah, lost time used to be way important. It's not as important now as it used to be, but it used to be it is still today. I don't want to take anything away from it. It still will tell you if you've been taken, but the way they abduction, and this, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, is a direct correlation to researchers. ET changed the way it did abductions because of us, because we realized missing time was a damn sure thing that somebody had been taken. So now they figured out a way to where they loop time or they change it a little bit or they mess with it, but it's not as much about lost time now as more as just strange time, might be a better way of saying it. But they
Okay,
still
so
both do occur.
that one's ET then.
Definitely ET. It could
Okay.
be, I guess it could be Millab too, but we'll just say ET.
Unusual marks on your body, like scars, scoop marks,
Ooh, that could
laser
be
cuts,
both.
ankles, wrist, backs.
Okay,
Government.
certain things like triangle marks, certain things where where it's so you get up in the morning, you see a V in the center of your hand, but there's no scar. That's definitely ET. You get up in the morning, you see that same V, but there is a scar. That's Uncle Sam. He just put an implant in your ass. See,
Okay.
whereas
So
the Greys and the
implants is another
reptilian,
one.
yeah, where the Greys and the reptilians and all were just taking DNA samples, these guys are chipping you. It's rare that the aliens chip you anyway. Everybody always thought that they were like Sims and them. Always thought every implant was alien, but it's not true. The majority of them are actually government. Aliens don't need chips to track you. They can track you through your DNA. Something we're actually working on as humans. So that's how they find you, and that's how they do a lot of other things. Which you said, every now and then they will put one into someone who is having certain kind of health issues, though.
Okay, so that's interesting. We already did the humming noise. So the feeling of being watched, especially, any time of the day, but especially just before you're ready to go to bed at night.
That's Michelle's demons watching you.
Could be, but let's talk about people on average.
It's actually that could be either one too. That could be both because for most abductees,
Very generic, right?
well, for most abductees, they can sense them coming. Even for
Mm.
contactees, it's a little different. They can sense them coming, and they don't get as antsy or as upset. Abductees tend to get very, very antsy, sliding around. They tend to get very upset, especially if they don't know what's coming. If they're not an aware abductee, that's just somebody's being taken. It makes their moods heighten real fast. They'll find themselves deliberately isolating themselves from the rest of their family and stuff, so they can be taken easier because they think it's going to protect their family when it's not. If the husband or the children are involved, they're going to take them. Not all husbands or all wives are abductees, but there are a lot. And kids are always taken, but they're not always necessarily taken with the mother or the father. Sometimes they're taken alone. Sometimes they're taken with the family. Sometimes they're not. It just depends what they're taking them for. But parents know this. They're not out to kill your kids, rape them, or pillage them, or anything else. They will bring them back, and they will bring them back with their memories wiped and intact and unharmed for the most part. Just so you know that. Yes, it pisses me off too, but still, you know that.
Sleepwalking.
Sleepwalking is an interesting thing. That could be a lot of things from what I've been told. I've talked to a
Yes.
lot of psychologists about this, and
Yes.
it could be alien, it could be Millab, it could be problems that you have not worked out in your psyche that tend to make you walk around. I knew one lady
But if
who
you're
was
a child, let's say, because a lot of kids sleepwalk.
yeah, but a lot of kids have issues too. So a lot of times it's probably a little bit of all three of them because I do know some abductees that tend to sleepwalk, but they tend to sleepwalk, get in their car and drive off somewhere and come back with sand and mileage on their car.
That's another one that's
They
urged
get, they
to
get up in
travel
the
to
morning,
specific places.
So I remember one lady kept calling. She's John, I keep waking up in the morning. My car's got 150 miles or 250 miles on it. There's sand on the thing. I said, well, bring me the sand and see what it's from. And we had the sand analyzed. It was from Golf Breeze. And then we did the distance from her house to this particular spot in Golf Breeze, and that's where she was going. We knew right where the house. We found out right where the house she was going. We actually drove down there a couple of times to see if we could see something.
Okay, we've established seeing a UFO. Unexplained medical issues such as sinus problems, fatigue, migraines, rashes, sudden illness,
geographical toe, all kind of weird diseases you've never heard of, kidney problems, immune deficiency problems. Contactee kids a lot of times have a lot of problems. About 50% of them do. 50% of them have health like you would not believe. I mean, just ungodly good health. You could go spit COVID on them and they would roll off them like nothing. But the
Mm.
other half are not like that. The other half tend to have what we generally call immune deficiency problems with their body. And there's several different areas that it shows up, from liver to kidneys to other immune problems in the body, but it shows up a lot. And quite a few of the abductees I know take insulin regularly. I know some of them that have to have dialysis. It's a weird thing, and it's not something that runs in their family, which makes it even weirder. The mom, the grandmom, the great grandmom, none of them had these problems. So usually, when you see these kind of problems, somebody else in the family had something, but it's a strange thing. And then sometimes, and I have no idea why, sometimes 34, 35, it corrects itself
Hmm.
without any medical intervention. I have no even inkling. It's like the two ladies in California with stage 4 cancer, and then it was just gone. It was like the
Mm-hmm.
missing baby thing. They were
Happens a
never
lot.
pregnant. I mean, you've got a blood type study, you've got an amniocentesis, not amniocentesis, you got an ultrasound, so you know the baby's there, and then the baby's gone. And when the doctor goes back to look, there's no sign of it. The hormones are not out of whack. All the hormones are back to normal. There's no sign in the uterus that there was ever even a baby. Not even scarring. How the hell?
Mm-hmm.
But yet they
Mm-hmm.
got the blood type and the ultrasound, so they know they were pregnant. And they try to say spontaneous push. That's not what it was. The alien just came in and took them.
Yeah, that's another one of the signs.
Yeah.
Terminated pregnancies within a few months without any
But remember, it's
explanation.
terminated pregnancies without side effects.
Right.
Usually when a woman has a pregnant terminates for whatever reason, from abortion to spontaneous
Mm-hmm.
abortion, all such other reasons, there's side effects.
Mm-hmm.
The body has to get rid of the hormone change. It has to change itself
Mm-hmm.
back to where it was from.
So all
Other
that's
other
not
parts
there.
of the body have to change. And
Mm-hmm.
so for a woman, she knows she's going through it. But in this case, it stops. Their baby's gone, and everything associated with the baby's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and over the years, we've tried more than 5,000 of these cases, and we've talked to many doctors about this. They
Mm-hmm.
all said the same thing: the babies were healthy, the fetuses were healthy, and then they were gone. But I did push a few doctors to ask if they thought there might have been anomalies on the babies, because from what we understand, they only take the children for a couple of reasons. One, if their psychic abilities seem to be already developing in the womb, they take those children because they can't live here on Earth. They would do harm to themselves or harm to someone else, accidentally probably, but still. Their abilities are too powerful to be roaming around our planet. Or they look too much like them and not enough like us. Like in Rachel's eyes, her child looked almost gray. It was a human, but it had a lot of great characteristics, and it could not eat human food. She had to have special food brought to the college, and constantly there was Secret Service showing up and other people showing up to come check on her at the college. Most everybody just figured she was a hybrid, and then after the book was wrote, she just disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knows what happened. And
Um,
her mom's dead now, so nobody has any clue what happened to this child. She could be in a lab somewhere. She could be anywhere. The aliens might have took her. Just no one knows.
Oh
And
my
that
God.
scares me more than
well,
anything else, because
the
this was a young
government.
woman. Yeah, this could be a young woman in a freaking cage somewhere, or in
Mm-hmm.
another cage somewhere on a planet. We don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that both the aliens and her let her stay here suggests that there was an interest in this. So I don't think in that case they probably didn't do her harm. There was some kind of thing they were trying to see if they could work out. Obviously, they could not.
Mm-hmm.
She was too much like the other side to be here. So eventually, the aliens probably eventually took her. But you have other cases like these. But that's why I rule out aliens walking amongst us. There's just too many other things that can go wrong if you're here.
I
If you're
think you'd have hybrids who look like everyday people.
Well, they swear there's a gray rogue hybrid race, the rogue hybrid race, and they're supposed to be the Men in Black and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And when you see them up close, they just look weird. They look human, but they look weird. But they're not human at all. They're freaking just these weird ass grays.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the problem with Men in Black, and a lot of these encounters. When a gray comes up on you, you're going to think he's human. You're going to look at him and think he's a human. He's not shape shifting. Your mind shape shifting for him. And anybody around him is also shifting and seeing something particularly close to what the first person saw.
Mm-hmm.
They're quite good at it, and they can do it in large groups. They can do it in airplanes. They can do it. If they were on TV and you were watching them, everyone would see. They wouldn't see the gray. It's just some way they can control that, and they seem to do it quite easily. And that's another reason why when people report grays, you get 6 people, you get 6 different reports. See the same one gray standing in a field, not 5 feet from everybody. Everybody gives you a different description of the same gray. That's impossible, right? So what the hell was going on there. Obviously, you were seeing what the grade wanted you to see, or I think more like you were seeing what you wanted to see. I think the grade's ability just enhances your own abilities, and it allows you to see whatever it is you think you're going to see. And that scares me too,
Next.
because I saw
Unable
a
to
video
sleep.
last
No, that's okay. You're squirreling. I'm used to that.
time. You can't see.
It's
You can't
it's squirreling in a good way. So it's elaborating on
It's
the
it's it's
information.
it's
But
it's yeah. Well, can't sleep. I would blame that on everything. Contactees definitely can't sleep. Contactees are
unable to sleep. Yeah. Experience with insomnia, nightmares, things like that.
most contactees are what we call healthy insomniacs. They thrive on 4 to 6 hours sleep. They don't really sleep anymore
I need
than
Yeah.
that.
those.
For a long time. It's true.
That's how I've been since I
You
was.
grow out of it.
And I wish I would. I just the older I get to, the less I want to sleep. It's
I'm happy with whatever I get.
yeah. I usually go to bed around midnight, 1, get up around 6, so 4 to 5 hours. Sometimes 6. Hey, look, if I get 7, I'm thrilled. I'm like, wow. You
Okay.
was 7 when I was a young man. I could sleep from noon to noon the next damn day if I wanted to.
One can only dream. Sperm samples. Just
Yeah,
saying.
that happens all the time. That
Yeah.
they call it the milking machine.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know what's funny about it is
Hmm.
first time I heard this, I'm like,
That's
what?
so
The guy's going on and on about this. I'm like, what? He said, Joe, like what they use in cows' udders. He said, yeah, they had like 10 of us hooked up to it. I was like, what? I said, you could at least said, give me a petition or something, man, some reading material or something. I'm like, Lord have mercy. But when I first heard it, I thought it was bullshit. I ain't gonna lie. But now I've heard it so many times that it's just become second nature. And none of the stuff we mentioned in the beginning, anytime we get something new like that, it usually takes a decade or more before we put it in the public
Hmm.
because we got to verify it. If we tell everybody, if I come on this show and say, hey, this, and this happened, well, anybody who's been or wants me to think they've been contacted can say, hey, look, this happened to me. Not
Balls of light, either getting glimpsed out of the corner of your eye or literally coming through a window straight through your room, which that's happened on many occasions between driving in the car and
see,
seeing it and having it here.
that could be alien or that could be some ghosties too. Depending on, and since the poltergeists seem to like the aliens or vice versa. I think what it really is, at least with the aliens, I think sometimes when they're opening portals, it encourages poltergeists. I guess it's an added source of energy or something that they can pick up on or something can pick up on because there does seem to be in some cases increased paranormal activity at abduction sites.
I've done a lot of cases where your aliens have also been seen.
Yeah,
So
because
you're on the money there.
they some people say it's the paranormal that attracts the alien. Some people say it's the alien that attracts the paranormal. I really don't know. It's hard to say because I know a lot of paranormal people who are abductees. They just didn't know they were, and that's why I said earlier about if you have a psychic ability, you're an abductee. And in the paranormal world, a good chunk of the paranormal people are mediums or psychics of some sort, or at least have gifts. And by knowing that, it just tells me the majority of them have been taken. They just don't know they have been, so it makes it harder. So sometimes for them, it might be a ball of light. The gray might be signaling I'm on my way, or it might be some other paranormal event. But it could be that the grays are coming to take them, and while they're coming to take them, it's creating the event.
Much like paralyzed in bed, which is like the old hag syndrome, which we did this on an episode of the Gray Zone because there's a lot of different explanations for this, but this one is also one of them, which are abductions.
Yeah, abductions. People do get paralyzed in bed. I mean, there is a lot of other things that cause this. People don't just assume there's certain sleep states that cause this, where you feel paralyzed. You'll be half awake, but you can't move your body. There are other states that cause this. There are mental states that cause this. But there are abduction cases where you are paralyzed and they come take you. So, I wouldn't immediately panic if you felt paralyzed, but after a couple of minutes, if you still did, I'd be getting nervous that someone's coming to get your ass and taking you for a ride.
Unexplained events that you have occurrences in your life which you cannot understand or explain to anyone.
That's probably contactees. That's probably people who are working with them. They tend to get things that, how can I say this? It's like show and tell. Contactees, and this is the difference between a lot of them. Contactees will sometimes demand something to help them believe, like an event or something that they can witness consciously while not being abducted. So a lot of times they'll demand that, like a craft to show up, spontaneous show up or something, things along those lines. But it's something that they can show to other people and say, "Hey, see, this is real. This is a real phenomenon." And it makes them feel okay. It makes them feel better about what they're doing because they know it's a real phenomenon. Even though, because from time to time, it doesn't matter who you are. Sometimes you question yourself, especially if you've been in the field a long time. You'll start questioning, well, maybe it was something else. So they'll demand something, which I'm amazed the aliens even put up with that shit. But they will demand something, and sometimes stuff will manifest so that they will know that something's happening. But I've seen people with ghosties do that too. Like, look, you're either going to manifest yourself or we're out of here, and then something will just start come floating through the room. I'm like, okay, I'm leaving now. Bye. I leave ghosties for everybody else. I much prefer to mess with aliens.
Back or neck problems, ringing in the ears, pain, like headaches behind your eyes or sinuses, especially one ear specifically.
Go get your blood pressure checked. All those things you just said. Go get your blood pressure checked. No, I'm being serious because we tell this to people all the time. You should always rule out anything medical before you assume anything else. And the reason why is you may assume you're being taken, being abducted, and you might be having a damn heart attack. So really, rule out everything else first, people. If any kind of weird health issues, go rule it out. Because that morning I woke up, felt a little lightheaded, and the next day I got up, I could have said, "Oh, I've just been taking that night. That's why I'd be dead today if I went." So people, pay attention because sometimes your body's just trying to tell you something.
And of course, it's the paranormal.
Older, yeah.
You've said this many times. Paranormal.
Yeah.
Interest in the paranormal.
Yes, people in paranormal. Well, for us, people like us, it's not really paranormal, is it? It's normal.
No.
For the rest of you how can I say this? Non-paranormal people, it's paranormal. Okay, there you go. For the normal people, for the non-normal people like us, it's normal, and for the normal people, it's paranormal. I guess. I mean, it's like to slap the crap out of somebody.
Dreams of destruction. Apocalyptic dreams of destruction.
That is definitely alien.
Catastrophes.
Yeah. Well, it's mostly alien. I guess I shouldn't say it's all alien because some of them might be like Nostradamus, predictions.
Yeah, predictions and premonitions. At least with my dreams, with stuff like that.
Yes. Well, conductees tend to have that a lot. They abductees especially. They tend to have a lot of visions. They see a lot of stuff, and it's not always right. By the way, I mean sometimes they're right on. Sometimes they're not even close. Sometimes they understand more. Sometimes they don't. It's hit and miss. Well, for me, it's a little different. And for a lot of contactees, if you realize that at a young age and you started developing your gifts at a young age, you'll have more control over them at our age. But if you just realize them in like 40 or 30, 40, 50-year-old, you're not going to have as much control. It's going to be more work. It's going to be harder to pin them down. It just takes a lot of energy. And if you're not a high energy person, it makes it even harder. Because some people just naturally are low energy, and some people are high energy, and some people are in between. I'm just insane, me, so that's all I can say.
And with that being said, we have come to the end of another fantastic segment. So I'm going to sign us off. Thank you all to our special guest, our grand poobah, the mighty Joe Montaldo.
After talking to y'all two, I always feel like I need a glass of wine.
I know.
The only interviews I ever do that, I feel like I need a glass of wine.
I know. And of course, we want to extend a huge thank you to Folgers Coffee, who partially sponsored tonight's show. Thank you. We love you and we appreciate you. Please remember to stop by the International Public Radio and UFO Paranormal Radio and enlighten me on the other one. God's UFOs,
that one killed me. Gods, UFOs, and extraterrestrials.
UFO, gods, and extraterrestrials.
I think I'm about to change the name of that one.
That's a whole freaking mouthful of freaking words right there. So anyway, just go and subscribe, please. While you're there, head on over to our group page on the Outer Realm on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram. Always appreciated. If you'd like to see a specific guest or topic on the show, or you yourself may be interested in coming on the show, please email us at theouterrealmcontact@gmail.com, theouterrealmcontact@gmail.com. Tune in next week as we welcome two more amazing guests. Wednesday night, we have Mike Wicksecker coming back to the show. Thursday, we have the return of Stephen Myers. He's going to be talking about his ongoing research on the ancient Pyramid of Giza as being an elaborate water pump system. His has been on for part 1 already. It was fascinating. So anyway, until then, myself, Amelia, and Joe Thank you for tuning
Oh,
in.
yes.
Thanks to those in chat,
Okay.
and have a good night and fantastic, safe weekend. Good grief,
Joe.
Joe.